Jesus brought us out of a life that we were living. We can't let the culture influence us. We've got to be so overtly Christian, so overtly convicted. There are people that just gave their life to Christ that they can't go back to the things that God just brought them out of. You know, I get asked a lot today when I travel or when I'm in interviews, and people ask me a lot today and they say, Maddie, how did you start doing all that you're doing? Is that something you just chose to do one day, or did you just, decide to build this out? And how did you start doing all of this? And I tell people, I say, well, this all goes back to when I was young and creative visions that my dad was having. Everything that I'm doing today is a byproduct of visions that my dad has had. I never really grew up, I'd say, with these big dreams of I want to be this or I want to be that, but there was just so much that we were doing for young people that I found myself being a part of and being in the mix of. And my dad was always creating all of these fun events and things for children and teens, and so I was just growing up in that. I mean, when I was younger, when I was little, I liked dressing up, I liked performing for my family, whatever I was doing, and that's always been a part of me. I've always had that kind of way and personality, but I think a lot of it came through, again, just what we were doing for young people. I mean, my dad was putting on concerts, and I remember concerts during New Year's, and I'm 7 years old running around with all of the teens for the New Year's parties, and the rappers are coming out and all of that. And so that was my childhood. My childhood was around ministry for young people, concerts, rappers, music, dancing, just all of that. That's what I remember, and that's what shaped a lot of what I continued to do as I grew up. But as I tell many people, what I'm doing today was not something I had a dream of when I was 5 years old. I think what I'm doing today comes out of the call that was on my life, but really just what kind of is the product of my upbringing and my childhood. When I wrote my first book, Dwell, I have a chapter in there that's called Why Am I So Different? And I think ever since I was young, I knew that my life was different. And that came a lot from because I knew that I had an understanding that our family was called to ministry. And my dad, he always included me in that. So as I was growing up and my parents were again building their church and doing ministry and reaching this young generation, I never felt excluded from that. My dad always made me feel a part of that. When I was 12 years old, again, we were at the peak of just reaching young people and doing all of this, and we were having a moment as a family, and my dad heard my voice as we were praying, and he took a moment after I had prayed, and he said, Maddie, you have a voice that I think people will listen to. I think young people will just connect with your voice when you speak. And I remember in that moment, he put a call into the staff and said, we're going to start a kids show, and it's going to be a show where we highlight everything that we're doing here for young people, but Maddie's going to be the host of it. And so at 12 years old, we started this Christian TV show called the Maddie Ray Show. That's where even the name came from, Maddie Ray, and all the things. And so I started doing the Maddie Ray Show. I was acting in that, teaching, doing little crafts, and interacting with little characters. And from that moment on, the Maddie Ray Show was born.
Hey y'all, what's up? It's me, Maddie Ray, and we're getting ready for the new show coming up Saturday, May 4th. But before that, today on this show, we're going to be giving you guys a behind-the-scenes look on everything, on the green screen, the lights, the kids, and this upcoming service. So let's go ahead and get started, and let's get started. Maddie Ray. And did you know that God created everything in the whole wide world? In fact, in Colossians 1:16, it says that by him all things were created in heaven and in earth. Isn't that amazing? Let's go take a look at all the beautiful things he created. Come on!
About 13, 14 years old that my dad had another idea and another vision of how we're going to continue to reach young people, and he decided to create Christian groups from our youth group, from our ministry, to start doing Christian music. So before, he was bringing in rappers and all of that, and he said, now we're going to make our own groups. We're going to do our own music and create our own songs. And so he created an all-girls Christian rap group that I was a part of. All the other girls, they were all older in their 20s, and I was like 14 years old. And so I remember going into that and kind of like, you know, like the little one just kind of going along with it. Again, I didn't have a ton of ambition, like, yeah, I want to do this. I love to rap. I love to sing. But I just kind of got to be a part of everything. And so I wound up being a part of it. And I just remember the first time that we performed, and we were dancing, we were singing, we were rapping, we were engaging the crowd, we were presenting the gospel. And I remember feeling like I could do this all the time. I fell in love with performing, and so I started taking more ownership, and everything kind of started coming together of things I was doing with the girls group, things I was doing with the Maddie Ray show, and it just kind of carved this little niche for myself of kind of coming into my own, and coming into my own artistry, coming into my own ministry, and really coming into my own calling of what God was calling me to do. And from there, between 16 to 18, there was a lot of building and a lot of things we started doing to, I would say, really create Maddie Ray Ministries.
Yo, I'm on the track, cause I'm free, I'm free, I'm free. La la dee dee da dee da da, la dee dee da dee da da dee da. But they always thought that Maddie Ray was just in a minute dumb. No, sorry, no grim, just a reaper. No rim on my free throws because I'm in the perfect season with the sun is perfect. Everybody wondering what's up, who, and you know they gotta ask where. Please don't stare, please don't glare. I pay my fare and it's still not enough, but no, I'm not stuck cause my debt's been paid. Yeah, I said it, yeah, my debt's been paid. You laid down your life and you paid the price that should have been paid a long time ago. By the way, I'm just so la dee dee da dee da da. Just so la dee dee da dee da da dee da. I'm free forever and ever, yeah, I'm free forever and ever, yeah, I'm free for. Yeah, I'm young and free, don't carry loose change and the swag don't swing to stop us. Yo, yeah, I'm young and free, don't carry loose change and the swag don't swing to stop us. Yo, free.
You know, things began to really shift. Once I graduated from high school, things started shifting because now I could go out and travel, and I started having churches that were calling to have me come perform and minister at their youth groups and at their youth conferences. And I would start going out now and presenting my music and doing concerts and tagging along on little tours and being able to minister in different youth groups and settings. And so I started doing that more. And then also the music side of things started to really gain momentum, where it began to get a little bit more national exposure, where before the music was really for our ministry, our young people, our church. We were creating it in-house, but then it started getting picked up and getting some national exposure. So now people in the industry were starting to even take note of it, and that took us through a little journey of kind of making our way through the music industry and record labels and, you know, Nashville and all these different places that were like, hey, we think this can be a lot more. But I would say at the same time that was happening and we were kind of seeing, where's this music thing gonna go? The other side of my ministry of the preaching started growing. And this is a part that I don't think many people know how this part started kind of growing, because it kind of snaked us a little bit. We weren't really planning to incorporate this preaching or call office of an evangelist with it. I was doing my music, I'd minister with my music. Yes, I was leading young people to Christ doing it, but that was its own thing. But all while this is going on, I became the youth pastor at 18 years old, and I started ministering to our young people, and I started preaching, and I started preaching on Thursdays, and the preaching gift started growing. Then I started preaching on Fridays for our church, and all of that started growing. And right during COVID time in 2020, before I would only share the music stuff I was doing. But then I started sharing the preaching I was doing. So I'd post clips of me preaching, and I'd share some of the things God was giving me. I'd start preaching with fire and boldness and calling for revival for this generation. And we began to see, I would say, the coming together of this overall calling that God had for my life as an evangelist.
We are heading to California,
North Carolina,
Lubbock, Texas,
Atlanta. We landed. We're heading to City on the Hill Music Festival. We're so excited.
Once we get to Minnesota,
We're heading to Edinburgh, Texas, and then after that, we're heading then to New York. So we've got a nice weekend of things that we're going to be doing, and we're excited for you to see all the wonderful ministry we're going to do.
My eyes, my ears, my mouth, my mind, my hands, my feet, my heart, my mind. He can have it all. He can have everything. Yeah, my hands and feet, they go where you lead. And my eyes can see that you're in front of me. And my ears can hear what you say to me. Don't you know by now that I'm an offering? Man, I've counted the cost and his life ain't cheap. But it's worth it. I can tell you now I ain't perfect. But I ain't in the streets trying to get a piece of what the enemy conjured up for me. You ain't tempted me, I ain't easy Eve. I'm just trying to lead a generation. We're picking up our cross across the nation. We gon' do this all day, every day. Yeah, we preach about the gospel, Jesus Christ, till they all say.
Ending it here in New York, going to an SED conference. We're so excited. There are going to be 2,000 young people there. We're going to end it really, really great. It's been a wonderful 2023 year of ministry. Let's go.
Was awesome. Fuego se sintió.
It was powerful. God really moved in us.
God used her, a young girl of 25 years of age with a special anointing.
Maddie comes and she just walks from the side, and all of a sudden, I fell to the floor.
We had seen that door of the music industry, that wasn't the direction we needed to go. They started asking questions, do you have to so overtly put Jesus in your music? Well, now, being an evangelist, presenting the gospel, doing what God has called us to do, what kind of question is that? Close that door. We're doing this for Jesus, for this generation. That makes no sense. That's not part of the vision anymore. Door closed. And so we no longer went that direction. We said, God, we're just going to trust you. We're going to trust you that we can create this music in-house. We're going to stay independent. I'm going to write songs that give young people anthems that they can sing, confessions that they can have to come against the things in this culture. I'm going to preach what I'm preaching, preach boldly with fire. And God just opened up doors for me to go to some of the largest conferences in America to present my ministry, to preach to this generation, to perform my music. And that door was open, and we have been seeing more young people be reached with the gospel of Jesus Christ because of the direction that we've chosen to go, and I couldn't be happier seeing where my ministry is today. You know, as everything has been growing, and again, the doors have been opening and opportunities have come, and I've been, going throughout my ministry, one of the things, the biggest thing that I have been so grateful for has been the role of my father in my life. My ministry would not be what it is today without not just the support of my father and everything my father has helped me build, because he's helped me build my entire ministry. But I've been so grateful for the moments that my father has taken with me to just help me be the person and the minister that I am today. Being 25 years old, being a woman on top of that, 25 years old, going out and preaching at churches and this or that, and you have even, pastors that are opening up their pulpit for me to come and minister. I couldn't even do any of that if it wasn't for the instruction of my father. Every time I would come off of the road, my father would train me and he would teach me on how I need to carry myself and how I need to carry out my ministry. And I say that because not every young minister has that today. Not every young minister has someone that is imparting into them and training them and teaching them how to do ministry, how to do it well, how to carry yourself as a minister, how to have character and integrity in what you're doing. And ever since I started doing this, my father has sat with me. He sits with me every morning and pours into me. That's why I am who I am today. And I'm so grateful for that. I'm so privileged to have had that because I get to do what I get to do today. My ministry has the purity that it has. It has the integrity that it has. I'm able to carry out who I am as a minister with character in my life because my father has been so intentional with me. And I'm just really grateful for that because that's what I want my ministry to be. That's what I want to present to people. That's what I want people to feel when I minister to them. I want people to feel the genuineness. I want them to feel the purity of it. I want when I perform that there's no question of how I present even my performances or my dances or my songs, and they see the purity, they see the modesty, they see the integrity, they see the anointing, they see the wisdom, everything that comes through because of what my father has put into me. And even again, the church, how you've supported me and how our church has been so a part. And I think God has given us such a blueprint. He's given us such a cadence and a way that we carry these things out. My dad has been such a visionary in these areas to help us all as a team, because remember, it's not just Maddie Ray doing this, it's an entire team. It's our church, it's our staff, it's all of us. And I am so expectant to see what God is going to do in this generation. I believe revival is coming. I believe the fire of God is falling down, and I believe this generation is rising up to be all that God has created and called them to be within their lives.